music and talk radio. I'm your host, Felicia Fishoff, registered psychotherapist and founder of Rooted in Resilience Psychotherapy and Wellness. And tonight, we're going there. This is Baba Shop Tuesday, and the question on the table is, who am I without the hustle? Not your job, not your grind, not what you produce. Who are you when it's just you? Because a lot of men have been taught, keep going, keep providing, keep pushing. But when things slow down, when the noise quiets, what's left? Let's get into tonight's panel. We've got Matthew Paris, software engineer, bringing insight into the pressure to always be on. Kunle Ifabi, registered social worker and psychotherapist, helping us unpack the deeper emotional and systemic layers behind identity and expectation. Gavin George, software engineer, speaking to lived experiences around pressure, success, and navigating expectations. And Josh Dale, registered psychotherapist, grounding us in how men process identity, pressure, and what it really means to show up beyond performance. Before we get into it, just a quick reminder. This conversation is for educational and informational purposes only and does not replace therapy or professional mental health support. Now, listen, the chat is open. The lines are open. Call us at 437-778-3299. Drop your thoughts. Tap into the conversation tonight. Brothers, this is one of those conversations you don't just listen to, you feel it, you reflect on it, maybe even see yourself in it. So if something hits tonight, don't sit with it alone. Let's talk. Good night, brothers. How you doing?
Good.
Doing good. Excited to be here.
I know. You know that we always look forward to our Barbershop Tuesday, and I love to be the queen of the hour. But tonight, I'm just so glad that we're taking this direction tonight. You know, the topic is, who am I without the hustle? Why do we need to be talking about this topic tonight?
Kunle, kick us off, man.
All right.
I smelled it too.
Let's do it. Yeah. I think this is a very important topic to have because in my practice, I work with men from different ages. I see men who are retired, who come into therapy session and all their life they've worked. And now that they're retired, they feel like they've lost sense of meaning. Like, who am I? If I'm not a provider, if I'm not working, what's left of my life? And then in therapy, we have to kind of help them figure out what else they could do. So this is conversation that we're having not only for people who are in the retirement age, but for men all over, young men, young boys, to help us cultivate a habit where we don't build up our sense of identity only on our job, only on our productivity, only on what we provide. There's so much more to being a man than your work. There's so much more to being a human, to what you bring on the table. So we want to explore all of those so that we can build a man who is well-rounded and well-balanced and not just only built up in one area, career, and every other area falls flat. So that's what we want to have this conversation for, to help prevent that.
It's good.
Really good. I feel like you said it.
All right, we're done. All right.
Yeah.
Good job, everybody.
Hey. Oh my goodness.
I think one of the things I see in my practice is there's like this emergence. Actually, it's not even just in practice. It's even outside of the psychotherapy room. But I see this emergence of people getting to an age in their adulthood, and they're recognizing that who they are is maybe not what they quote unquote call their true self. It's been a mixture of pressure and masks, and like these are actual words that I've heard passed around, and masks and people pleasing and perfection and all these kind of words. And it's like they get to this place and they're like, I don't know who I am, but I want to. There seems to be this emergence of desire for, I want to know who I am. I think I don't know if it's just the way that the world has been and what COVID made us face or whatever, but there seems to be this emergence of like I'm tired of living the way that I was, not getting to be my true self, not getting to see myself come forward, but being a different person in all these
Mm.
different places. And so I'm so excited that there's this, like I said, this emergence of I want to be myself. Like I want, and this is all ages I'm seeing, right? And even happening with women as well. But the
Mhm.
men I'm seeing, it's so refreshing to hear them say this. Not just, oh, I'm going to go along with the, I got to push forward. I got to go. I don't even have time to think about who I am because I'm involved in all of this or I'm expected to do all this. But they're right there with the conversation of how do I be my true self? How do I just get to be
Mm.
beyond my work, beyond my roles and expectations and responsibilities? So super important conversation because I think it's already starting to happen.
Yeah. And honestly, we see it in society where you're essentially told to always grind. The hustle culture is a whole thing. You seek the status, you seek the material things. This is honestly why you see a lot of the older men, like my dad, and you encounter people where they get to that stage where they're retired, and it's now what do you do? Your whole life was kids, working,
Mhm.
money, providing, whatever that is. Your kids are older now, they have their own families. What does it look like for you? Who are you? You're probably thinking, okay,
Mm.
what do I even like to do? I actually have time to do things now. And this is where I feel a lot of men get lost. And not even
Yes.
just at that age. When we reach the point of exhaustion, we're like, I need
Mhm.
more. What does that more look like?
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
mean, these are questions I've had to ask myself. I'm sure all of us on the panel have had to ask ourselves that. And we
Mm.
define ourselves by what we do. You ask someone for a bio or you do an introduction. It's like, hi, I'm Matthew. Oh yeah, I'm a web developer. I do this, this,
Yeah.
this. We define ourselves by our work. So
Yes.
how do we break beyond that? That's
Mhm.
why I think this conversation is powerful. We need that. 100%.
Yes.
It's good.
Absolutely.
I see
Yes.
it's loaded because I don't
Mm.
think the hustle mentality is something that's new. The
Yeah.
hustle is
Yeah.
just hustle changed. So I think when you're
100%.
coming up, you kind of see keep what keeps playing in my head is like, hey, young
Mhm.
blood, what's up? Like what's the hustle? Like what's going
Yeah.
on? And
Yeah.
I think that's kind of grown up with that mentality that
Mm.
you have to become something. What that something
Mhm.
is, you don't know, but there's always been a push. The push is
Yeah.
to kind of discover yourself before you even discover yourself. And then as a man, you're
Absolutely.
just like, well, your value or substance isn't given to you or earned until you've achieved that. And then you're sitting in a spot that you start reflecting like, was I meant to be here? And I think that's where a lot of juxtaposition happens. Like I know we talk about like midlife crisis, like there's different stages, and we're like,
Yes.
is midlife crisis really a midlife crisis? Like what really, like
Mm.
you should be winding down at that time, but you're like your
Yes.
mind tends to ramp up. So
Yeah.
uh
Absolutely.
But that's the
it's a
stigma
lot.
too, right? When you see an
Yeah.
older gentleman buy a convertible, they're like, I think he's having a midlife crisis.
Right. No,
Yes.
he
Well,
realized,
maybe
I'm
not.
like, I'm a convertible guy now.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
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 No, he was always feeling that way, but it's like
Yeah,
now I'm like, oh, this is me.
yeah.
Absolutely.
May
And
not, may not have any hair or anything, but he's like,
yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
feel it.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is a lot of the times, as young boys, right? I
Mm.
think of like in your playful era, right? And there's this sense of like you get to dream, like I want to be this, and you get the sense of dreaming and being able to actually
Mm.
have a joy about it. And then myself included, and a lot of the adults I talk to, it's almost like that's dissipated, that's gone, right? And that you're left in this sense of confusion. There's not that sense of
Mm.
playfulness and curiosity and hopefulness, right? It's like at a certain age, it's like, oh, we leave that behind. It's that's not for the real world. Well, I'm seeing maybe if we kept that, maybe if we learned to foster that more, maybe
Mm.
we wouldn't have so many adults that are like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like, it feels like I'm starting
Absolutely.
over again. A lot of people will say, I feel like I'm a child like inside, because I
Mm,
don't know who I am. And man,
yeah.
I don't know why that's the thing that we lose. Like that's the thing that well, at least one of the things that goes away once we get into our adulthood and we get real responsibilities. We lose that sense of
Mm.
identity and playfulness and dreaming and curiosity. And I want to be
Mm,
this, and and here's who I am, and this confidence in it. But I'm seeing a lot of something I've struggled with too, like low self-esteem and
mm,
identity confusion
Yeah,
and
100%.
attaching yourself to your work. That's I guess that's the currency of today. If I'm a
mhm.
hustler in my work, if I could do a lot, oh man, then I have status. Well, is that really your identity? When you go home and you're in
Yeah.
your car and you're quiet and you're like, wow, I just gave this great performance or this great
Mm.
workshop, but I'm still feeling low. Why is that? Oh, maybe I don't know who I
Absolutely.
am.
It's
Yeah.
so true.
Yeah.
I f-
I know that you, oh, sorry.
no, no, go ahead,
I
please.
know that you guys talked about like retirement. I know that you guys also talked about midlife crisis, but I know that even in some of my own work, like sometimes even with things like injury, right, where you literally cannot work because you've either been in an accident
Mm.
or you've seen something traumatic and it's taken you out. And seeing the stripping of identity with the male clients that I've worked with has been just, really disheartening sometimes when you see it, because it's like, well, if I can't work, if I can't produce, if I can't provide, if I can't play with my kids, if I can't engage with my family in the same way, who am I? And so that's why
Mm.
I really love this topic, because I know even in those moments when I was like, well, if you were to externalize this experience and say someone has been gone through their life and they get into an accident, and okay, well, yes, maybe they can't produce in the same way. Are they any less worthy? Is their life any less valuable? And obviously it takes some time, but like, no, they're alive, like they're still lovable, like they're, but it's like, then how come you can't see yourself in that, even though you can't actually physically work, right? So I wanted to kind of throw that in there
Yeah.
as well, because there's also other moments in life where sometimes you get that stripping away by force, where you can't literally
Mm.
work and you really have to face your identity about who you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good angle. And that's something I thought of as well. Talking
Yes.
about just value, intrinsic value of just being a human being. Um,
Mm.
as we grow, just mentioning what kind of socialize to adult stuff, grown up stuff. And then I like to be a kid. You see, I have a fidget spinner.
Mm,
I like to be a kid.
I
I
love
love
it.
it. But really, it is important to recognize a baby, a child, to ask, is a baby, you had a new baby, is that baby valuable?
Mm.
What are they bringing to the table? They're taking your time, they're
Mm.
taking your diapers, they're taking your money, they're taking your food, but that baby is very valuable.
Mm.
Why do we accept that baby as valuable? Yet myself as an adult, maybe something happened, I had to be home for 2 months. Why do I feel I'm not valuable? I don't even take up resources as much as that baby is taking.
mhm.
So
I
true.
have a history of providing. That baby hasn't provided.
You just got
Literally.
here.
I know.
Being
But
able to be able
you
to,
start paying rent, baby. Come on.
Yeah.
to strip everything away and then to see value in who we are as a person, as a man, as a woman, just as a person, you have value. It's not just what you provide, it's not just what you bring, it's your presence. It's the fact that you have life in you that is
Yeah.
valuable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I agree. It's powerful.
Yes. Yes.
One of the
Absolutely.
things I think I mentioned, and it was kind of a joke, but it's kind of those ones that there might be truth to it, but there's like we're just like one big dysregulated nervous system. And I see it in culture because we're always on this sense of the defensive. We're always maybe trying to compete with one another, or we're trying to prove ourselves. It really is on the defensive, and I'm wondering if that's the reason why we stay in this conversation of like, oh, status or identity is based upon what we do, right? Because I could
Mm.
prove myself, and I just feel like we're always trying to do something like that. Always trying to prove ourselves, always trying to people please, always trying to compete, always trying to, and so of course our identity and status is going to be attached to what we do because that's how I get these things, right? That's how I survive. And I'm wondering, like, what do we need where we can be and have us come forth, right? Beyond the hustle, beyond what we do, beyond what we are, beyond what we think we need for success. Like how do we come into the picture? Not just in little points, not when I get home and I'm just like, oh, I can finally be myself now, but how do I get to be myself um, on a consistent basis, right? Especially in a world where it's like, hey, what do you do? What do you do? Like Matthew said, right? That's the question. You meet someone at a party. You meet someone. I think that for even me, I was like, oh, hey, what do you do for work,
Yeah.
right? And it's like the staple, and it's like I want to get out of that habit because I'm just attributing that person to the most important question. The first question I'm asking is,
What do
hey,
you
what do you
do?
do?
But
Right?
even modern dating too, it's like, oh, what do you bring to
Mm,
the table? I guess that's the whole thing. Like, what do you bring to the table? I'm like,
6-figure job.
yeah, right?
Yeah, I like that question of what do you do when people ask me,
Yeah.
and I like to play around with it. I do so many things. So I could pick any one of the things.
Yeah.
I don't tell them to me I'm a therapist. No, that would scare everybody away. So okay, shrink me now. So I try to find other things I do. Oh, I like to bike. I coach. I mentor kids. I just I work with kids. Yeah, and then I had one that was really amazing. Somebody asked him, "What do you do on a plane?" He said, "Oh, I work for an amazing organization, and what we do, we help to solve a lot of problems that people face in different parts of the world. We give statistics while producing." When they broke it down, he's actually a pastor.
Yeah.
But this is a pastor. He went on all these things. We have companies all over the world. We have branches all over the world. I
That's
like people
funny.
being creative like that. It actually helps
Yeah.
you see their job in a different light. So
So
yes,
true.
I like that question. I like to play with it
Absolutely.
and just
Hmm.
create something amazing. Maybe it's kind of like a conversation starter. And I try not to give the easy answer. I'm a therapist. No, I find a long road.
I like that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we have two comments in the chat. The first is a pretty big question, right? It says, "Thank you, Tetris ALP, for your comment. What steps or exercises do you use to help clients reauthor their identity after
Mm.
an injury, focusing on skills, roles, relationships, and sources of meaning that aren't tied to work or performance?" Oh, can be a whole thesis. Joshy,
Yeah.
take this one first, man. Go
Sure.
ahead.
This is good.
Hey, and then
Uh,
Kunle, you can jump in after. Yeah.
Yeah. So when there's this sense of injury, and I'm assuming some sort of like trauma, whether
Yeah.
person, significant other, family. What I see happens in people there are a few different things. This sense of re-traumatizing an old, what people might call a wound, and so then you have a bunch of things surrounding that. You have
Yes.
shame, you have the inner critic, you have internalized messages, you have your core belief system that was internalized through those difficult early relationships, something called the internal working model, which is what you think and believe about yourself. And so all that
Yes.
comes up. And so the work that I do with people is we go in and process that.
Yeah.
We go in and talk about their story. We talk about their narrative. We talk about their childhood. We bring in safety. We bring in perspective shifting, reframing. We detach them from those internalized beliefs, those things that came externally that they started to believe. And so as we start to do that, and as this person gets safe within themselves, like they start to see differently, they start to see themselves as maybe the internalized belief was like, I'm stupid, right? Or I'm worthless. And then as we start to do the healing work and they start to detach from that, they start to realize, wow, I'm actually not worthless. I'm actually a
Yes.
really caring individual.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm actually pretty funny. Wow, I'm actually a good friend. And to see that realization come is so beautiful. It is difficult work.
Yeah.
Those like our memory system, our physiology, our somatic system that holds trauma, that holds these beliefs. Sometimes it can be hard to go through. But the beautiful thing I see is when people through that struggle, through the muck, they begin to see themselves as different as those negative core beliefs. It is
Yes.
amazing.
Mm.
And one of the things that I love, and Kunle probably does the same thing, is just spending time with that person.
Yeah.
Safety is such a big regulator. Safety is such a big
100%.
thing that can heal. It can heal. And so I get to be with my clients in that place. I get to talk to them. I get to affirm, right, their feelings of how they felt. Like, I'm feeling really shameful right now, and we get to talk about that. I don't shame them for having shame, right? You know what I mean? Like, we open the space for that. We sit with them. We talk it through. Sometimes we offer those reframes and perspective shifts. We walk them through this process. So then it's authentic, right? If I try to take them through the whole process and say, this is who you are, right? They're just gonna again be back in a place where someone else, some external voice has told them who they are, right? So we have to walk through this with the client. And this is why I'm such an advocate for therapy or even mentorship or things like that, is because it's easier, for lack of a better word, to walk through this with someone safe, someone supportive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think Josh has said it so well. Talking about what steps do we take to use to help clients, maybe to after to kind of re-enter their identity after like an injury. I think also in addition to that, for me, everybody I see, every client I see, child, adult, from the beginning, initial session, I try to also throw some sense of identity there. I ask them about what they like to do aside from their job. What do they do for fun? What's their recreational activities, extracurricular activities? Just by asking them that questions gets them thinking. If they don't have any, none. Before we finish, we'll figure out some, just to know that they have those buffers, those supports. And then when people have an injury or they experience a trauma, it can be really, really difficult, just like Josh mentioned. And sometimes they feel nothing, they feel numb. So we want to start small to help them begin to feel, kind of reconnect them to themselves. I like games. Sometimes there's sometimes words are limited. Sometimes like just being present, being with them, playing a game with them, letting them know they are valuable, because sometimes they see therapists as this, like, no, I'm just human, like you on the same level. On the same level, be there, spend time with them, whatever they want, I do. Let them lead in therapy sometimes. Let them take the lead. I follow them, help them reconnect to themselves. For some people who have played as little as Lego, just building Legos, fidget spinners, pickup sticks. I like using pickup sticks a lot. Some people, it could be knitting, just knitting something mundane, something you can do without thinking. And that helps them to reconnect to that part of themselves and feel. It doesn't even matter. I tell them, it doesn't matter if you don't feel any, just do it. Give them a little task, something they can do. Do something mindlessly until you start to reconnect with your feelings again. And when you figure out that, explore what's pleasurable, what do I want to do, what do I find meaningful, what connects to me. So we go through different explorations and see which ones stand out the most to them. But being able to connect to the world around them first, maybe connect to the therapist, connect to the family member, connect to community support, and through exploration, they'll find other things, other gifts, other talents, and see also how they can use this injury and turn it around to be something positive, and not just see that injury as something negative and they're ruined, but how we can bring sense of purpose out of this injury or the trauma to help them bring out a different aspect of themselves they've never seen. So yes, we try to use everything to help them reconnect to themselves and bring out the talents and the giftings that they have in that regard.
Absolutely. I mean, you guys really hit the nail on the head. I think the only thing I would add is I use a lot of externalization, because I find that when clients are so deeply entrenched in those emotions, it's really hard for them to treat themselves with self-compassion, right? Because let's be real, we are so much easier on other people than we are on ourselves. So when we can externalize it and could be like, well, if another person was going through the same exact scenario, but yet, like, would you treat them in the same way? Would you have the same set of expectations for them? And usually the answer is like, no. I mean, of course they need to rest. Of course they need, I'm like, then brother, sister, then why are you being so hard on yourself, right? And then another layer of that I would do is like a bit of family systems therapy, right? Where we really examine what were the rules and the roles that you grew up with, and how did you internalize that for yourself, and how are you living that out? And now that you can actually do that because of the injury, like, what meaning have you made with
Mhm.
regards to that, and really help them to explore that meaning making and shift that narrative, and then rewrite the story
Mhm.
for the next chapters,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, okay, so this is what your story has looked like up until now. So then what's next? Where do we go from here? Right? So
Integrationist. Huh?
integrationist, you don't
Yeah,
know.
there we go. I love it.
Oh,
Don't put
it's
baby in a
funny you
corner.
say
That's
that.
all I
Right.
like.
Yeah.
Love
All
it.
Well,
right.
it's funny you say that, because then, I see the same kind of tools or methods used in, let's say, even onboarding when it comes to employees, like the gamification.
Yes.
I remember
Yeah.
using a tool that was, what would you do with $1 million, just to get people out of their head. And then
Yeah.
after you get them to use a different part of their brain, that they're like, wait a minute, am I not here to talk about this? I was like, no. Like, if you actually think about it for yourself, like what drumming up what these passions are. Because I'm like, I know you're here for this job. It's like, but if you weren't, where would you be? And I think we don't always connect that way. We're just like,
Yes.
I'm focused, I'm here. I'm like, yeah, I will be there. I will be attentive. I know all of these things. It's like, great.
Yeah.
But what do you do when you leave here? And
Yeah.
I think that's also the notion of getting that. And it's like, all right, well, that's great. But when you leave here, what do you do? I
What do
don't
you
want to, when I leave, I expect you to not be here. Like, you're going home to something, like there's something more than this for you. So
Yeah.
I think companies that are incorporating that are
Yeah.
helping to kind of destabilize this notion of, no, you got to be the last one in, the first one in the office, last one out, like,
Mhm.
because it's not a great environment to be around or be within.
Yeah. How many people, like Gavin, you bring up a really good point. How many people say, like, I take my work home with me? Like, I'm always, they're always work is like the main thing. That's the pool that they're drawing from. That's the thing. So I think you hit the nail on the head there. Like how do we destabilize that? How do we break that down? Right. I like
Yes.
what you said there of encouraging people. I don't want you to be here. I want you to, at the end, like, I want you to go home to something else. I want
Yeah.
you to leave this here. It'll be here tomorrow. Trust me. You go to what you have that's beyond this, right? And I really like,
Yeah.
I really like that.
Because
Gavin,
like,
you're
if I
gonna
were
give
to
me $1
ask,
million?
well, I mean, this is all suggestive, right?
Don't forget us,
Like,
yes.
yeah.
I said, wait, my
All
brain can't get
theoretical.
through that. I said, wait, there's $1 million where?
I know, $1 million question. That's what it is. Yeah. Game show.
All right, we talk after the show.
Gavin, I think that's really good, Gavin, because if a lot more companies do that, you notice your employees are actually more productive because they've gone on, done something exciting, they're refreshed, they can come back the next day better to put their best. But if they're burnt out, tired, no sense of meaning, no sense of fulfillment, they're just trying to eat the corporate ladder, they're going to burn out at some point. So that
I want to be able to ask. Yeah, I want to be able to ask you. I'm like, oh, what'd you do this weekend?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you did something. It's like, oh, well, I was dealing with this file. I was doing this. I'm like, okay, great. I guess I'll leave you to get back to it. Like, I want to know that things are going on outside of it, and you see it in a lot of the, I guess, the top 50 best companies. Like, they've built models around this because they need to dispel that notion that people that just live at work. So they see it.
But they put them in creative environments too, which is smart, right? Like, you've heard for many years, oh my God, the Google office in Silicon Valley, like, they put you in hyper creative environments where you can actually disconnect. You hear about, I remember hearing about nap pods. They have a bowling alley. They have all this stuff so you can actually disconnect and come back more creative. In web development, they say when you're stuck, sometimes the problem is so small. And I know we don't need to get technical, but something as simple as a semicolon can break your entire website. And you could spend the entire time searching for the problem, never find it. You step away, you actually take a breather, do something else, you come back, and in most cases, most developers be like, I found it in like 5 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, with the topic, who am I without the also? Another angle that comes to mind is as men especially, we're kind of vulnerable to the hustle culture. We're socialized to hustle to work. And often when men do things and they're not so good at it, we don't like negative, like, oh, you're bad at this. Anything I'm bad at, I dropped it. I go do what I'm good at. So maybe what I'm good at is my job. I just keep doing the job. And when we face difficulties, we face challenges, we use the job to cope. This is the one thing I'm good at. And then we just end up isolating ourselves from everything, all the stress, and just focus on job. So we need to learn to address those other things. We need to learn to heal the hurts, the pain, the struggles, the challenges we're going. We need to do the hard work, the emotions, walk through them, and not just escape only to our job. And then we need to try things. You need to learn, if it's golfing, go learn how to golf. I tried to learn how to rollerblade. As old, I've never rollerbladed all my life, but I did it. I posted it online. People will laugh at me.
Wow.
Learning something new.
I
We
love
don't have to
that.
be good at everything. We can actually try things, do some
Yes.
recreation, go golfing, go skiing, go swimming. Take time to do those things, or else you're gonna focus on the job all your life, and when it's done, you have nothing left.
Yeah. Can I speak to the job that you brought up? A super good point, and I want to know if you've heard this point on top of it or beside it or in it, whatever. But when people have like, I'm good at this thing, I'm good at this job, and they put their whole stock, they put all their eggs in that basket. Then when they get reprimanded at work, it not only shatters their kind of work performance, but also their identity, because they put all the eggs in that basket. When they get fired, right? When they get laid off, when when something happens, like Felicia said, when an injury happens, you put all your stock into this one thing that is performative, right? It's your job. And then when something interferes with that, that's where these people are like, oh my gosh, like, what the heck? I'm not happy anymore. The one thing that I attached to my identity, I'm in shame and in confusion, because like, well, if the one thing that I have at this core is I'm not even perfect at that or good at that, then like, what do I have? And so I like what you said, is how can we attach to other things, right? What else can we do where if let's say a bad season happens in one of these areas like the job, how do we not get totally dismantled by that because our identity is in that? How do we have our identity in something else more solid, or in something that actually will help us get through these things, as opposed to, oh, if this thing gets hit, there goes my identity, right? I think that's a one that I actually know. Kunle, you talked about older men. I know a lot of older men go through, right? Retirement can be so scary for them, because it's like, well, this is my whole identity, right? I grew up in a small town, man, and seeing my dad go through retirement, right? You are your job. People know you as that. People know you as the business, right? Your name's on the business, right? And then you retire, and it's the scariest thing, because it's like, well,
What do I do?
who am I now? What do I do? Where do I go?
It's tough, because obviously you need to work, you need to make money, you need to provide. All those things are still important. But on the topic of who you are without the hustle, I'm of the mindset, and it may sound cynical, no company, no job cares about you. That is the one place where they only want you for what you can offer. So what do you bring to the table? That's the mindset of your job. Yes, they want to have a creative environment, but who you really are, essentially, like Gavin mentioned, when you leave that place, that is you. So what are you investing in when you leave that space? Who are you investing in when you leave that space? And you have many other things. Your job is, yes, they say most of your life you work. Your job is going to be a big portion of your life. Yes, it's important to do something that you may enjoy doing, but who you are building those relationships. Whether you have kids or you don't have kids, building those relationships. Whether you're married, you have girlfriends, you have friends, brothers, sisters. Who you are when you leave that space is how you build up who you are. You have friends that you grow together. You have a marriage is so important, and your partner is so important, and both of you growing together in that mindset is like critical. Are you investing in those things? Are you trying to learn new things like Kunle mentioned? I think you have to discover yourself by trying those things. I've always wanted to do this. Why not do it? Is work consuming your life? Well, you guess what? It will consume you to a point where you will never be able to define who you are if you don't step out. But that's the reality. Your job is the only place that only wants you for what you could bring to the table.
Yeah,
That's
true.
my mindset on the whole thing.
Yeah, true.
Well, I'm like,
got
just
some-
to talk of that mentality. Like, I'll use my father as an example. He's in management in automotive industry, and he was talking about his retirement as it was coming up, and yet he was talking about what his retirement job would be. And I was like, what are you talking about? I thought the whole point of retirement is so you don't work. He's like, no, maybe I'll be a school bus driver. I was like, really? Like, I didn't even thought about that. But then I maybe that was his way of just thinking of other things that he could have been, or like reinventing himself. It's like, I always wanted to be a school bus driver, or I wanted to, be a crossing guard. Like, I would love that. Or a Walmart greeter. I think he was interested in that too. But asking, is he doing any of those things? No. Asking me if he's in the country. No. He's just enjoying it now. But it's like, but that was like the same mentality. He hadn't even retired yet, but he was still in that, locked in that game to be like, no, I need something after this. Because he was either seeing what he might have been after, like, I need something to keep me busy, and he hadn't worked out what relaxation would be, or what kind of person he was going to be after retirement. So, but the first thing that came to mind was more work. So I just found that very interesting.
You are listening to the Mental Health Hour on Love Bay Afrobeat Music and Talk Radio. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Download our apps from the Apple App Store or Google Play. Visit our website to donate. Your support helps us continue serving you, our community. And we want to hear from you. Call us at 437-778-3299. The chat is open. The lines are open. If something in this conversation resonates with you, lean into it. Add your voice, share your perspective. You're not alone in this. We're here serving you 24/7. Speaking about the chat, we also have some more comments there. Wow, it's blowing up. Yeah, I love this. Keep it coming. From NPP, Mental Health. I have a feeling that's Natasha Pennycook in the house. All right. All right, Natasha, you said that the self-comparison and self-doubt often leads to a trust injury with self. Absolutely. Well said. We have some 100. That's me. We're so glad that it's resonating tonight. Andrew, I now know that it's you, one of our Andrews who is sick tonight. He's been coming up with these big questions, Mr. Tetris. All right. He has another big question. How has colonialism historically shaped ideas of manhood and pursuit of success in BIPOC communities? And what practical strategies help mitigate harms while honoring culture and resilience? Boy, you're really not making it easy on us tonight, Andrews.
Can I step in with this one? I'm gonna step in with this one because I had a conversation with someone the other day that was really talking about basically what's going on in this question. So, and I would love to know everyone's thoughts here too. Because some of you might have heard the truth from your parents, or some of you might have even spoken this thing over yourselves. But this client this person was upset with this sense of, they were upset with the phrase that often gets told to Black men and women of, you got to work harder, and you have to work harder than everyone else, and all these things just to make it. Right, just to have a bit of success, just to get the job, and they really put a different perspective. I guess when I talk to people, it's like, yeah, that's the thing. We have to. It's the Black narrative, right? And then they were saying, I hate that. They were saying, I reject that. I won't speak it out. I don't process it anymore because it keeps us in that stereotype. It keeps us in that narrative. It keeps us in that sense of we are less than, and then we have to put in so much more just to be even, right? So if I don't put in so much more than everyone else, right? If I put in the same as other people, I'm still less than, right? I have to put in more than them just to be even with them. And they're saying, I reject that. And I think here that the ideas that have shaped manhood and the pursuit of success is you are less than. Right. You
Yeah.
are less than. And so you have to do so much more just to be seen as an equal. And while that may have been some truth, this person I was talking to is saying, I'm rejecting that narrative. Right. I'm not stepping into that anymore. So maybe that's even a way to help mitigate the harms. Right. We honor our culture, yes, in terms of the difficult things our parents and grandparents and ancestors have been through. We draw from their strength and resilience to push through difficult things, but we can also reshape narratives. We can also break down stereotypes. And I really love this perspective. I haven't heard anyone actually say, hey, I reject that. I've always heard people say, no, this is what it was for us. This is what it, this is what it continues to be. And this person's like, no, I reject that. And it was like, oh, and I stopped for a minute and just listened to them. And it was a beautiful thing of like, no, I'm not saying it anymore. No, I'm not less than if I don't put in a ton more, unless I put in a ton more work. So I really like that. Maybe a way of mitigating the harms, honoring culture and resilience is honoring, but also reshaping.
I love that. That's powerful. And that's the thing, right? You almost put yourself mentally in a deficit. And then when you're constantly hustling, you're like, why? I'm exhausted. But yeah.
Well, you're in that mindset of I need to outwork that person. Like how many times, and you guys can jump in at this. How many times have you either trained somebody that was in the position higher than you? Like, and you're like, I do so much of this work, and you're like, but they're getting the job. And is it a matter of, you've done less? It's like, well, they put you to train this person because you have value, like the job. It's like, but then why am I not doing this job? Because I'm teaching somebody else how to do the job that I already know. So I can understand, rejecting like the working harder. It's like, no, because that didn't change anything. Because then it's like, I don't have to work harder. I'm like, I've been doing it. It's like, I can say from my own experience, I've learned that then that wasn't for me. And so, because I've had the opportunity to sit in these positions where my worth wasn't put in as a matter of how much of the hustle I put in. My value was like, well, I know that I produce a certain quality of work because it meets my standards. And then I had to be okay with that. And I think that comes to a point of realization. And I think that's where a lot of the shifting is starting to happen now with, do I keep hustling or I need to shift the hustle? Because I think right now we're kind of putting a negative connotation on what the hustle is, but hustles change. Right? So you already hear it, like the hustle mindset. I was like, well, that needs to change. So
so true, man. And it goes through different seasons, right? It changes and it goes through different seasons in life.
That's a good perspective you shared, Josh. Just talking about, I've never heard it like that before, but it's good. I'm just thinking about that because we can carry on this pressure. Like I always have to work 10 times more, 3 times more, 5 times more. And it can create this perpetuity of just stress and burnout and all of that. I'm also looking at the part of myself as an immigrant. I came to this country as an immigrant, had to go to school, and sometimes you're put in the position where you're forced to work 3 or 4 times more. As an immigrant, I felt like I was starting from behind. Even the school fees, I paid $30,000. My
Wow.
classmates were Canadian paid $6,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's crazy.
the disparity is so big, and my classmates were still complaining about the $6,000. I remember one day I raised up my hand in class. I like, do you know how much I pay? Everyone just don't talk again, keep quiet. But I think I wasn't pissed that I paid that. My mindset was I gotta work 4 times more to make sure I get 4 times out of this class than they did.
Mm.
But it did help. But now I think it comes to a point where we have to transition out of that.
Yes.
Now, the way I see it is kind of staying in my niche. When I stay in my niche, just like Gavin said, my excellence, my standard, that's my standard. I don't need to reduce my standard. They can step up to match my standard, but I'm not doing it.
Ooh, say that again. They can what?
They can
Yes.
step up.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to reduce and say, they are not my benchmark. I'm not trying to do 3 or 4 times more.
I
Than
love
I'm just
that.
doing my standard. And my
Yeah.
standard ideally might be because of my experience, because I paid 30,000 all through. It hasn't been
Yeah.
easy. So my standard has been raised, and my standards at a certain point right now. My thinking, the way I see it, is way different. So they can step up to my standard. I'm not using them as a benchmark. I just know this is my capacity, and I'm staying on my
love that.
capacity. I'm maximizing it, using my skills, my talents, my gift, my experience, and that makes me stand out.
I love
And
that.
that's another thing. Sometimes when you're playing someone else's game, yes, you have to work 5 times as hard to match them.
Yes.
But if you come to your own, if you figure out your niche, your gift, where you're meant to be, and then you have your standard and you just run your race.
I love that. So true. Very powerful.
It's good.
I love this conversation. You know, I've been thinking at the back of my mind throughout this episode, and I was like, how does this topic tonight relate to that of building a legacy? So when you think about who am I without the hustle, how does this relate to the legacy? Because I think that speaks to a little bit of what you were mentioning, Kunle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, building a legacy, very, very important. And I think it starts from being able to ask ourselves these questions. Who am I without the hustle? Listeners, as you're hearing or listening, just asking, who am I? Begin to explore, figure out what else, what is my life about? And that can help lead us to the idea of legacy. What's my legacy? What am I here for? What's my purpose? What's the meaning? What's the meaning of all this? You don't want to do it just to make money and go on vacation. And then what's the meaning of that?
Oh, that's
we-
nice. Nice.
That is
But that
nice.
shouldn't be the end.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be the motive. That shouldn't be the end. There should be something
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So asking this, who am I without the hustle? And you might not get a quick answer, but take time to think about it and process it. And I like to do another exercise with a lot of my clients. It's called the best possible self. And it helps to see their life in different areas: personal life, career, relationships, and be able to think outside the box and help them explore. Who am I? Tell them, take months, think about it. And whatever it's honest comes back, write it down and begin to connect
I love
those
that.
dots. Yeah.
Yeah. I think of the old image or the old trope or whatever of like I don't know, if you take a hammer and you try to skateboard with it, you're not going to get far, right? If you try to use it as a phone, you're not going to get far. If you try to use it for a lamp, you're not going to get far. But if you use it for a hammer, right, you're gonna be kind of in the wheelhouse of what it's used for. That fits in with what Kunle and I think all of us were saying is find that niche, find that place that you exist to be, your creativity, your you know what your passions are, your desire, right? And as you, again, it might be a slower process, but as you fit into that place, you're going to stand out, as Kunle said. You're going to be making moves. People are going to notice, right? You are going to be building a legacy more than just money or success, but you're going to build a legacy for your children of someone who knows who they are, someone who can, and with knowing who you are, I've seen it come with more confidence, a regulated nervous system, not always on the defensive, not always in survival mode, right? The legacy that you can leave is so widespread as you step into yeah, what are my passions? What are my dreams? Who have I? Who's my, as Kunle said, who's my ideal best self? Like, what do I want? As opposed to what does the pressure want, the hustle want, those kind of things. And I think if we think in this way a bit more, if I could step more into who I am, right? Who I've been designed to be, right? What fits with my personality, right? Let that come out. I think you will find success. I think you will find that you are building a legacy. Yeah.
100%.
I have a feeling that there's some listeners that are out there tonight that they haven't had people to encourage them into what you guys are talking about, right? This idea of finding their passion, of finding who they are. They've been boxed in. They've been told you can only do this path. This is the only path to success for you. And when it comes to their actual passions, there's nobody has told them that I believe in you, that you can do this, and they might be experiencing some feelings of discouragement. What would you say to those listeners tonight?
Well, just even talking about that, like a lot of feelings aren't even brought into it. Like as soon as you said that, I thought it was like feelings. I didn't have. There's no feelings in this. I was told you do this. It's like
Yeah,
this is
what you have to
you
do.
get a job, you did it, and there's no feelings in it. It's like you just have to act. And I think that's you had mentioned like the passion has been taken out of it. Like when we go through school, we're kind of we're taken to the guidance counselor. It's like, well, you look like you would fit into this. You would fit into this. And that just fosters it. Like if you have no idea, you're just like, all right, well, I seem to be doing well in here. So they just go. Where there's no more exploration. We talked about
100%.
as a child being having a set of toys and just playing like, oh, I want to be a construction worker. I want to be this. We put all that aside. And I think that's what happens a lot of times. We put all those passions, those things aside to get to this goal of just push forward. And feelings, the childlike joy, passion, all those things get suppressed. And then we're just pushing forward.
100%.
And then the mindset, it just shifts from there. So from something that's very lively to something that's oppressive, like you're just behind the desk and just typing away. So
yeah, I like get what Gavin said there in terms of mindset shift in it. The way I've seen it is kind of maybe the need to dethrone certain things in our mind. And I know it can sound really privileged, and I got a story to go with it too, but like dethroning this sense of, because a lot of people, and even talking to young people right now, I have nieces and nephews, but a big thing right now is this sense of money, right? How many people have you envied that are like, you know what, in grade 12 everyone's going off to school, once they're done grade 12, and this person went to travel, right? And people are thinking, oh, you're stupid, like you're
So
spending your
true.
money on travel, not on school. And this person's getting experience. They're maybe discovering, they're exploring. That's a word that Kunle brought up. They're exploring, right? And one of the things that people will say is, well, Josh, like, not everyone has that privilege, right? Like, what do you think of people where money is a thing, right? Where they do need to worry about it. And I remember I was in Dominican, and we weren't in we were in like a village. It took like 45 minutes by an ATV, and we had to go real slow. Like it was in the middle of nowhere. Houses like looked like half of them looked like they were made from tree bark, to be honest. Like this was in this village, and these people were happy. Like these people were joyful. Like they were like, I'm not trying to do that sense. Oh, they were just so happy. I'm sure they had struggle, but they were so welcoming. They were so happy. I think their mindset of success and legacy and this kind of stuff was built in themselves and community and other things other than just money and climbing the ladder. Right. And I think maybe we have to dethrone some things in the Western culture and in our mind of what is is it just about success? Is it just about money? Is it just about climbing the ladder? Is it just about comparison? Is it just about status? Because I've seen elsewhere in the world where maybe they have all the more reason to worry about money, and yet they're not. Right?
Mm.
They've dethroned those things in their mind. Maybe they didn't. Maybe those things were never thrown in their mind. Maybe we can learn something because, yeah, they had success and legacy about community and family and themselves and what they were able to do and to serve and to help and to give their giftings of leadership or whatever it was. And I love to see it. But I think with Gavin's point is shifting our mindset, dethroning some things within our mind, within our culture.
I love that. I think mindset is one of the best starting points, and I think in terms of our mindset, we focus heavily on lack, things we don't have. We're distracted because we're doom scrolling and connected on social media. We see people with all the luxury, people doing all these things on social media, and we don't realize it is subconsciously impacting us. And then we're like, they have all this, they have all this. Oh my God, they're doing all this. Then we begin to focus more on what we don't have. And I think, at some point, we're all guilty of this, right? We focus on that lack more than what we have. And I find myself, because I find myself being more nostalgic lately. Maybe I'm getting older. I'm going to be 40 next month. And I'm like, don't Kevin Hart me. Don't Kevin Hart me.
I'm joking.
Hey.
I was
You were
like,
going to Kevin Hart me, weren't you?
Kevin Hart, yeah. The Kevin Hart moment, Don Cheadle.
Honestly, I find myself being nostalgic, and I think even just going back into that childlike mind, I think of my childhood, my times with my family, my times with my brother. I'm like, man, you think those were simpler times, but they were such good memories. And I think I've been so trapped up in the grind of providing, surviving, but then I realize we're nostalgic because we've had good moments in our lives, but I wish I knew how important they were in that moment versus years later when I think back in retrospect. And I think we need to remove lack, focus on the present, focus on those moments. There's a saying now where people say, go touch grass, go have a moment, go for a walk. I took my dog out for a walk one night and I was telling my wife, it was so beautiful. Like, I looked up in the sky and it was just stars everywhere. It was just us. She was walking. I'm just looking, I'm like, man, it's such a beautiful night. It's cold, but it's so beautiful. And like sometimes having those moments of just being present, I would rather grow older knowing that, man, I absorbed as many moments as possible than reach a point in life where I'm like, I'm nostalgic because I want to go back there, or am I nostalgic because I'm just thinking about the memory? And I've been going through that reflection a lot lately. And I think that is so important for us to focus on now. And you discover who you are behind the hustle when you can actually focus on what truly matters and focus on the present and focus on those moments. It's my 2 cents on that.
What I'm getting from that is oftentimes we're in a hurry, we're speeding, we're hustling, and we need to slow things down. We need to smell the coffee. We need to go for a walk, observe the stars. I have a little poem I've always recited since when I was in high school. It says, harmonize with the world around you, roll with the hills, dance with the trees, smile at the stars, make eyes at the moon, kiss the sky. Those things are really
I love that.
not just the hustle. Let's slow down, observe, notice people around you, and enjoy the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
There's
that.
a question
Okay.
coming to mind.
Good.
Yeah. There's a question coming to mind for all of us, and it's one that I'm gonna let everyone else go first because I have a hard time. But even as we're talking about this, asking ourselves the question, right? We're talking about it, but like, who are you? How do you guys and Felicia, how do you answer this question? Who are you beyond the hustle? I'm gonna let you go first because I might need to steal some of your answers. But
Well, chat GPT.
Yeah,
Who
right.
am I
Yeah.
beyond?
What do you? Yeah,
I can jump right in.
Go ahead.
yeah.
When people
Please.
ask, they're like, I'm a fun-loving guy. I like to have fun.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything I like to have fun. I like riding my bikes. That's another way I define myself. I like biking a lot, especially in the summer. I love meeting new people, connecting. People energize me. I love connecting. So Matthew, 40th birthday, I better get an invite.
All right.
I love parties. Owambe is what we call it in the Nigerian community. Owambe.
Okay.
I love parties. Every weekend in the summer, I'm out having a good time partying. So that's the way I like to describe myself: people, relationships, and fun.
It's good.
I love that. I have to say that similar to that, I mean, I love people, just communicating, connecting with people, being in social moments. I love a good dance too. I love a good party as well. I thrive going out just for walks in the summer. Living in Ottawa, Canada, we're close to the water. Just those walks are beautiful. Simple things. Spending time with family is so important to me. And you know what? Spending time with family doing nothing, sitting on the sofa chatting, sitting on the sofa watching movies. Were simple things for me. I find such joy in that. So yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say I'm still discovering that. So I think at this stage in life, I think what I'm looking at is, maybe even trying to find more of the facets of that make up me. Like there are things that innately were, like, say I was gifted with, and then maybe there are things that I'm interested in and then I haven't taken a plunge to try. So I think right now I'm in the point of like discovery. So like that's like my new hustle, is trying to figure out what else motivates me, because and then enjoying that journey along the way. And I think that's and obviously just I have younger nieces and nephews, and just kind of watching them grow into people. Like it's hard for me to believe sometimes, like, you were this big. Now that like they're growing, and I'm more amazed at the small things, and even the little things that they do, or personalities, like the people they are growing into. I'm already amazed at that. So
Yeah,
I take
I
that
love
in.
that. Yeah, yeah. He is an artist.
He is.
Yeah.
100%. He is.
Yes.
Yeah. I think for myself, I think I'm a mixture between what everyone has said. I'm a huge extrovert. I love having fun. And then I'm also I call myself a contemplative. I'm curious, reflective. I have probably like 6 or 7 whiteboards around my room that I like write on. I put on like the chill instrumental hip hop music, and I just kind of go, and I spend time in silence and solitude. But I also people energize me. So I think I'm a mix there, an active, energetic, contemplative. Those are 2 different things, contrasting things, but all together in one. Yeah. Felicia.
Now to the queen.
Yes.
I am wacky. I don't know. I was sitting here, I'm like, who am I? I am just wacky through and through. I mean, whether I'm here on the show or not, I'm just bubbly, wacky.
You are.
I love to joke all the time. Everybody's like, yeah.
Yes.
I love to
We
encourage
confirm.
people. It really does fill my cup when I see other people thriving. Like, really, I cheer people on, and I really honestly mean it. I just love seeing my brothers and sisters grow and thrive. I'm really a big kid. I'm the youngest in my family. And I could tell you that you could see that personality in everything, I'm a little bit spoiled. Just a little bit.
Just a little, okay.
I could hear my siblings like, okay, yeah, just a little bit. Okay, you guys aren't here to
They're like,
all right.
No.
Yeah, and I have a very big heart. At least that's what I've been
You
told.
do. You do.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Um, I, I was thinking when you guys were talking earlier about, sometimes we have these fleeting thoughts like, would anybody miss me if I was gone?
Mm.
And it's not until the person leaves that you hear all of the good things and the good moments and everything that they've done. And I'm like, if only they were here to hear this because they were contemplating this,
Mm.
right? Yes, you would be missed. Every person on this planet has a purpose.
Yeah.
You would be
Absolutely.
missed.
Mm.
And that's a part of
Mhm.
who you are. You make a difference,
Yeah.
whether you realize it or not.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were all put here for a purpose. We were like a puzzle, and we need each other's pieces to make the puzzle make sense.
That's
Yes.
right.
So without puzzle not being there, it's going to affect so many lives. A lot of clients, when they're in depression and suicide ideations, wonder who would even feel. Nobody. No, a lot of people. You're connected to a lot of people.
So
You're not just
true.
here by yourself. And so that's why we have to take our lives and use it the best way we can, to connect all these dots, to enjoy, to explore, figure out what am I here for, and then to do that and enjoy. Yeah, your life comes alive when you do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't stop exploring. Don't
Yeah.
stop being creative. Don't stop being goofy.
Yeah.
I think it opens a lot to yourself when you do that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I currently
I like that.
work in the hospital. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I currently work in the hospital. And when I was going to be posted to the hospital, I didn't want to go because I felt they're all medical people. A lot of my coworkers are nurses. I'm like, I don't know this nursing term. I thought I was going to be intimidated. And then I got into it when patients come and they have the nursing questions. I ask my nurse colleagues, what do I do? But when it's social work, like I noticed just being the only social worker in the team, being only male also, I was like, I actually found my niche, like I said. And I just shine. I just beam. I don't need to be 5 times. I can't compete. I can't be 10 times better than them in nursing. I didn't go to nursing school. So when the nursing questions come, I take it to them. What do I do here?
Yeah.
But when my own question comes, I just flow. My niche, and they all see it, they recognize it, and they celebrate it. I was like, wow, I like this. Thank you, guys. Yeah. So just finding your niche, finding your value, not necessarily competing. And that puzzle is needed even in this hospital. I see how my puzzle fits in so well with all these nurses and all these medical personnel, and makes us an amazing team.
That's right.
Love that.
Think how powerful it would be if men got into the habit of doing this with our friends. Like I love joking, and we love to joke a lot, right? And we roast and that kind of thing. But imagine if on top of that or beside that, we could also build each other up. We could affirm people's value and worth, not shy away from speaking into that, right? You know, when you've tried to, I don't know if you tried to speak to a bro that, you know, and you're trying to like, you know, give them props or affirmation. They're like, nah, like, oh, quit with that soft stuff. Or they kind of, you know, put their hands up or whatever. Wouldn't it be amazing if we could all be open to that more, right? Think about the difference it might make if your friend really knows how much you care about them, if you know how much other people care about you, like Felicia said, not when it's too late, not when you're gone, but if communities of brotherhood could actually speak into this stuff. And I know it's happening. There's actually a few groups on my mind where it is happening, and few people and a few people that I know that are spearheading that and leading that. And it's great, but let's expand it. Let's bring it further.
All right, you brothers, one last thing, popcorn that you want to leave with the Love Bay community tonight as we wind down.
All right, I'll jump in. I was gonna say, don't let money be the measure. All right, as you're in your hustle, it's not everything, because in the end, it's the people that surround you, the passion that you have. That's what's gonna drive you further. So, and you get something out of that as well. So, money is not the measure. Passion, people, focus there.
Yeah, I think that sparked a scripture reference, but again, you don't have to believe in in a certain faith to believe what comes out of this, but like the question, what does it profit a person to gain the whole world and lose their soul, right? And maybe a lot of people have felt that. It was like, I have everything, but I'm still so empty. Like, what does it profit you to gain everything but lose the essence of who you are, the creativity, the goofiness, the exploration, the playfulness that you had as a child? Like, that is precious, right? And so as Gavin was saying, yeah, don't throw money over everything, right?
100%.
Find out who
And
you are. Yeah.
just expanding on that, obviously you have different beliefs, but your spirit is who you really are, and you're having a physical earthly experience. That is what I believe. If that is who you really are at your core, if you focus on growing that and building that and feeding that, then who you really are comes out in the physical form.
Yeah, it's good.
And that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, to add to that, I'll say, taking Josh's words, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Get a pen, get a diary, ask yourself these questions. Who am I without the hustle? And begin to write things down. Write things down. The more ideas come, write it down. I suggest take that diary, put it beside your bed, ask yourself this question before going to bed. Wake up in the morning and download and just write things down and be curious and test some of those things, explore them, figure it out. Don't wait until it's too late. Don't wait until you retire. Don't wait until you get a major injury or experience some significant trauma. Do the work now. So,
Yes,
It's good.
absolutely. All right, there you have it, Love Bay family. Tonight's conversation reminds us of something important. You are more than what you produce. You are more than your hustle. And who you are doesn't disappear when things get quiet. Sometimes the real work is learning how to sit with yourself without the pressure to perform. To our panel, thank you for the way you leaned into this conversation and helped create something meaningful tonight. And to everyone listening, thank you for being here, for leaning in, and for allowing yourself to reflect. Now, next week, we're shifting into something just as powerful, but often even more invisible. On the Insight Hour on the Mental Health Hour, we'll be exploring the weight of care, dementia, neurodivergence, and the hidden toll of caregiving. Because caregiving is often framed as love, as responsibility, as duty, but what we don't talk about enough is the emotional toll, the identity shifts, the burnout, and the quiet sacrifices behind the scenes. I'll be joined by Jermaine Morrison, registered social worker, educator, speaker, and mental health clinician. And together, we're going to unpack what caregiving really costs and what it truly means to support those who give so much of themselves. If you are a caregiver, if you love someone who is, or if you've ever had to carry more than people could see, this conversation is for you. This has been the Mental Health Hour on Love Bay Afrobeat Music and Talk Radio. I'm your host, Felicia Fishoff. Stay grounded, stay connected, and remember, you don't have to carry it all alone. Good night. Peace out.
Be blessed.
Yeah.
Later.
Hi, everyone.
Bye, everyone.